Let me know when we're live. This will be like a
Two.
blooper. Welcome to the Morning Buzz. That was poorly executed. My name's Ryan Trick. This is the quarantine edition. You can see our faces now. It's crazy. My name's Ryan Trick. If you thought I looked different, too bad. With me I have
Amanda Marino
and
Annabella Poland.
Annabella Poland. Break out the coffee pot and toaster waffles. This is the quarantine edition. We're not in Studio A anymore, Annabella. Yeah, we all have coffee. I have water. Finished my tea this morning. And my toaster waffles.
We can do radio while having drinks.
Exactly. Because we're not allowed beverages in the studio. Anyways, that's a visual joke. I can now make visual jokes as well as audio jokes.
Oh, no.
No, oh, no is right. This is going to be fantastic. We're on YouTube for this episode, and it's going to be great doing some test runs. The quarantine cannot keep us down. We promise to keep the Morning Buzz running, because if there's one thing we college students are good at, it is being aggressively stubborn. Anywho, we got a wonderful show for you guys today. Hopefully, it's going to be a bit of a shortened show in a different format, but we're going to start with the good old newscast and multi-weathercast, since we're all in different places now. Amanda, hit us with some news.
So in recent news, we're going to head to U.S. news, where President Donald Trump Sunday extended the federal government social distancing guidelines from April 12th to April 30th. And in NJ news, according to NJ.com, a Lakewood couple who hosted a gathering Sunday of 40 to 50 people on a lawn and street in front of their home have been charged with 5 counts of child endangerment, and the husband was charged with violating the ban on gatherings due to the coronavirus outbreak. And I'll start with the weather, I guess. So I live in Middletown, New Jersey. So it is 45 degrees here currently, with a high of today of 58 and a low of 40. And the sunset is going to be at 7:19 p.m. How about you,
I'm
Ryan?
over in Burnsville, New Jersey. It's about 46 degrees here with a high of 61 and a low of 39. What about you, Annabella?
Well, right here in Pequannock is 45 degrees, and it's going to rain this afternoon. There's a 40 to 60 to 70% chance of showers over the course of the afternoon into the evening. We expect that our sunset will be a minute later than Amanda's at 7:20.
And despite the clouds, though, this Morning Buzz, we will be trying to look on the sunny side. See what I did there?
Love it.
Audio puns. Can still make them. So, Annabella, you actually, before the show, speaking of people violating quarantine, we kind of just want to start off with why people should not be doing that.
Right.
It's easy to take this whole coronavirus situation lightly, I think. Some people cope in different ways. I know personally for a while I was kind of brushing it off until I drove my friend Nick back from Maryland because he was up here for spring break, and I realized, wow, I had to drive all the way to Maryland to find paper towels and toilet paper. So
that is why.
Craziness going on. So Annabella, show us why people should be staying in quarantine.
So I'm going to share with you a map that a group of citizens, and I'm going to look to my second monitor. It's a nonpartisan volunteer collective of data scientists, engineers, and designers who are working on this map that I'm just going to go back one step and show you this map, okay? They're working on this map to tell you why you should act now. It basically predicts, it's the model that predicts the last day each state in the United States will hit the point of no return, right? So it shows you the colors. You have greens and reds and oranges, and then it tells you underneath the red is limited action taken. These are the states that are like not as effective right now. Social distancing is a space where we were maybe like 3 weeks ago, and then the shelter in place, and you can see us in New Jersey, we're on that mode. Why is this, right? Is because if you click on each state, it basically predicts what's going to happen if people don't do what they're supposed to do, right? So here we go. So if we do nothing, if we have very limited action, you see we go way above this dotted line, which is the capacity of our hospitals. And if you go with the limit, like 3 months in shelter with the strict compliance, which is, you know, as close to a lockdown without being a lockdown, you are on this line right here. If you don't follow it and it's a poor compliance, you're still dealing with quite a bit of overcapacity, right? It's that second wave of green right here, right? This one. But look at what happens if you follow a strict 3 months of a lockdown, meaning you really strictly go out if you need to get groceries or go to the pharmacy with a lot of precaution. That is a line that you can't even really see. Can you see that? It's like flat.
Not even.
Right? So it was kind of crazy a little bit here when things began today, right here.
Yeah.
But you can flatten really all the way. And I think this is important to see visually because I don't think people get the sense that they're going to get sick. I think that they're invincible. And I think that this team of experts coming together to show you what your impact is. And that's for every state, by the way. So if we wanted to go to our friends in New York who are dealing with a little bit more severe stuff, right? At the moment, because we're kind of close second, this is hospitalizations in New York. Remember that in New Jersey, we were close to 200,000. Look at New York.
Wow.
It's heading towards the 500,000 with a limited action. Thankfully, Governor Cuomo has been rather strict in the way that they're doing things in New York. Yet again, you see that 3 months of lockdown, even in a place like New York, can really make a huge difference on this curve, right? But even if we were going to go with like 3 months of shelter in place, which is what we're doing right now, it's still underneath, you know, like it's still sort of at the level that it can be handled, right? I think that this is important, and I think that the work that these folks are doing is impressive because forecasting, it's important to tell people like this is what we're looking at. Perhaps they don't care about what they've seen in Spain or in Italy because it's too far, it's not close enough for America. But it's important to see this because, you know, we're seeing a number of changes. This is also new that the first thing we heard when we were coming into this scenario of the virus being in our country was do not wear a mask, only wear it if you're sick. That tune is kind of changing right now. And it makes me wonder, was the CDC trying to deal with the lack of supplies in that manner so that people wouldn't hoard the mask, or did they not know? And this is the kind of questions that, you know, a lot of the people that I talk to have. The main thing is listen to the CDC at all times, listen to the scientists, and like, for the love of God, stay home, right? Because we don't want to, here in August, we don't want to be dealing with this guy here at all. And you can see that New York right now is at that point, right? They are past capacity.
Yeah. And it's, you know, it's I don't want to say scary to see because I feel like a lot of people are getting a little too overly worried. There's nothing to be worried about as long as you're staying safe, as long as you're doing this, you know, going about this whole situation in just a smart way. You know, the best advice that you can give people right now, as blatant as it may seem, is just don't be stupid. Don't make poor choices. Don't have a 50-person gathering.
I mean, do we have to say this? This seems so crazy to me.
Exactly.
That still
and
do things.
It's really just as simple as that. You know, go about and be smart. There's nothing wrong with wearing gloves and a mask when you go out if you have to go out to the grocery store. Sure, you may look weird, but guess what? Everybody else looks weird doing it too.
I'll tell you, I work in a grocery store, so it's been like the craziest stuff seeing like everybody be a little different about it. Some people feel the best when they're wearing a mask and gloves. The only thing my store provides me is gloves. I don't even get a chance of having a mask. I barely have any glass covering me. So it's kind of one of those things that it's like you just got to hopefully take your chances. Like I'm wearing gloves and I'm like hand sanitizing anytime I change my gloves. Like I'm just taking the precautions I can. And it's like definitely interesting seeing different people's perspectives coming in. And I do want to thank the people that have been like very super nice when they come into the store. I can't even tell you how many times I've gotten thanked for even coming into work. And I was like, thanks. That means a lot because I don't really want to be here because I'm scared. But like, it feels nice that people have been really nice to employees, and I've seen people be really nice in stores saying, "Oh, I'm picking these up for my neighbors" and things like that. So it's definitely a nice thing to see that people are actually being nice and taking this. Some people are taking this very seriously.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think I was talking to one of my friends who works in healthcare, and he said there's a wrong way of taking your gloves off. And I was like, I want to see this. And so we were on Zoom, and he showed me how taking your gloves, if you take them wrong, the content on your gloves on the outside could splash up, right? So if you're thinking,
wow.
I'm just going to take it, so you kind of have to like to the side, right? And just like really like not get into your hands, and then immediately wash your hands, right?
Yeah.
I had never thought of like things splashing up, you know, and I was like, oh, so
Yeah.
I think it's important. There's a lot of conflicting info. I have heard that wearing gloves actually transfers things when you're grabbing, you know, doors and things. It's better if you have a Lysol wipe or something to clean your cards and then your hands with than it is to wear those gloves for the same reasons of like maybe you just splash the glove out. It's just kind of a, you know, an
I heard the
elastic
same
band.
thing too, because they said unless you're changing it like constantly, like you're just transferring, like,
Right.
but like that's the same thing. That's what's hard with healthcare workers. If they're going from like people to people and they have no supply of things, they can't really change their gloves, and that's like
Right.
the hard part.
I was reading about a hospital in New York yesterday where they were giving a gown and a mask for every 5 days. And I just couldn't imagine, like, you know, having to be in that situation because you're going from patient to patient and they may all have the same virus, but at the same time, the prophylaxis is not good, right? So hoping that that will be resolved very soon.
And especially the thing of like there's other cases in the hospital. People don't just go to the hospital because of this. Like people are pregnant and going into the hospital just to have a baby and things like that.
Yeah.
And it's like it's crazy.
Yeah. I'm still baffled by people who are gathering, like that couple in Lakewood that you mentioned. Still have a party.
I heard yesterday too. There was in New York. I know this. It's right here for us. New York. Someone had like a speakeasy going, and like they had like 12 people in it, and like the cops had to bust in and like stop it because like 12 people is too much.
Yeah.
You know, on a normal scenario will be like, yeah, it's just stupid is what it is, right? Like
exactly.
you're not caring for the other, and that's upsetting.
And yeah, I've been saying it too. It's like, I'm sure, like I'm worried in a respect for myself, but I'm worried about like the people around me. I live with my mom who's immunocompromised and stuff, and that's what I worry about when I go to work. I'm worried that I'm going to bring it home to her and that's what I tell my customers too. I'm like, I'm here because I need to make some money and stuff, but also I want to be safe about it because I could bring it home to somebody else.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And that's the best thing that people can do, I think, just in general, you know, outside of themselves, is just don't think like, oh, I'm young, I can go out, I can do whatever. Think like, oh, you know, I have neighbors that might be immunocompromised. I have, you know, my friends' families might be immunocompromised. Just like you, my dad has been an asthmatic for all of his life, and he's, you know, respiratory immunocompromised. So I think it's just simple stuff like this that people aren't really kind of getting in their head. I mean, it's not very difficult to in just general, it's not very difficult to kind of stay at home. And we'll be getting into some things later that you can do during quarantine. But what are you showing us here, Annabella?
So this is the COVID visualizer. This is the map that, you know, keeps it in sort of very close to real time what's going on, and the numbers today, as you can see here in the US, there's 135,741 active cases of COVID, 2,490 deceased, 4,562 recover. Just today we have 333 new cases, and today is 9:15 in the morning Eastern time, plus six deceased. This map shows you where the hotspots are. We are unfortunately the #1 country. This is not a race to win, by the way. It just
Yeah.
we
No, it's
happen to
not.
have the biggest numbers. And if you go around the world, we can just go and check what's going on with our friends in Italy, right? Okay, I keep getting pulled into other countries. All right, so there you go. Um, that is Italy, and I guess they've been in lockdown now for 2 weeks. So there is so far, it's 6 hours ahead for us. They don't have any new cases or any
That's-
new disease people today. That's good news. Hopefully it stays that way for Italy.
Yeah.
But
I know they've
are-
been truly under a lockdown. I take Italian at Montclair, and my professor has family there, and he was telling us that like they literally were only allowed to go to the grocery store like once a week. You weren't allowed to leave. Like it was like a so strict lockdown. And he's been getting like hearing stuff from his family, and they're okay. Like that's what he was telling us, that like it's literally once a week. Obviously, I work at a grocery store. I see some people come in like multiple times a week, and I'm like, this is not what's meant by this. You should come here once, get what you need, get the most you can, and stay with like a long time.
right,
Exactly.
right.
But you know what I'm looking at, what I'm seeing when you're showing us these maps, Annabella, and I think this may give people some hope, is I'm seeing much more recovered than I am seeing deceased.
Mm.
So people who are freaking out thinking that this might be the end of the world, just look at the good side of the numbers. I think a lot of
Yeah.
people are looking at the negativity behind numbers, but just look here in China where the whole thing started out.
Yeah.
You know, look at the amount recovered.
Right.
It's all about finding the
There's a
good in this
lot of
and just
people.
being smart.
China has a lot of people, and we're approaching the point where they would have had 2% less for the U.S. right because of how quickly they reacted. Also, in the U.S., a lot of people are always wearing masks regardless because the over there is not great. So I think and attribute the lack of contagion, or I mean, it's not a lack because it's 81 cases. It's not enough to sneeze at, but if you look at that compared to the U.S. and how it's handled, and we got cases today, for example, there's still have cases. It's not what we're dealing with. I have to say, but that number that we saw in Italy is a little bit different when you look at the recover. It's a little bit closer for my right, and it makes us a little bit pause. The other place of concern where we saw a lot of action was in the UK. They had now canceled the schools, right? And the people, citizens were pleading that they would do that. We know from last week that Boris Johnson, as well as the Prince of Wales, were positive. But I know that they're acting a little quicker in terms of coming out with ventilators. They can deal with that. But yeah, so the numbers though here are a little bit changed. What the difference in between disease and recover, right? So you have to remain, there's so much we don't know about this, but still, you just have to remain cautious and continue to scientists and the medical media this way.
Exactly.
I'm looking at people low and it was interesting to see that like across school, there's been like 150,000. That's a really like high amount compared to the deaths. I feel like that. And
And just
really
better health are in China, right?
Right?
yeah, I think we really remain optimistic and just do what we're told, stay inside, just remain healthy, worry about our mental health too, because that's very important too. Like if that's like using aromatherapy, like meditating, things like that, drinking a lot of water, staying hydrated, and just doing what you're told.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's important to keep a sense of your routine, right? So at 8:30, I'm here. I would usually be at my desk at the station. The morning bus will be in the studio to keep doing the things that you're doing, even if it's a different kind of scenario. Getting up in the morning, showering, changing, brushing your teeth, brushing your hair. Like it's very easy to fall into this deep down depression. Like, oh, I'm sad. I'm going to be this forever and never.
Exactly.
You need to do all of your homework. Your classes are asynchronous, right? Meaning you don't have to jump in when you would have to be in the classroom. Personally, my suggestion to my class was, I'm not asking you to be between 10 o'clock Tuesday and Thursday. I do think it would be really for you to use that time to edit your podcast that you're working on, because then it's not piling up and it's not making you feel overwhelmed, because everything else is overwhelming, right? So as much as I can, I said, try to keep that time. I'll have my Zoom open in case you have a question, in case you want to share your screen, in case you hit us not normally look into your computer at school. I'm going to do the hours of class. I can't have my screen open all day long.
Exactly.
Yeah. So sharing this map. Here we go.
And you know, kind of in the theme of mental health and just it's true. You know, you and I, Annabelle, I know, had a very long conversation just the other day about just getting dressed in the morning. You know, even if you're gonna stay at home all day, you know,
Yeah.
you don't have to put socks on, but throw some jeans on, throw a shirt on. You know, it just takes that much. So kind of keeping in the theme of mental health, we actually have some good news. We did
Okay.
find a lot of good news stories. It is our job to bring the world news, and I feel like a lot of people are kind of tired about hearing more and just more negativity about coronavirus. So, Amanda, you found a great story.
Yeah. So last night on Fox News, they had a benefit concert with iHeart Music, the iHeart Radio, and they did a concert. It was just like a 1-hour concert, and they aired it online, but everybody just filmed their songs in their a house, apartment, wherever they live, and it was just this really nice way to connect with the world, because a lot of us right now are been connecting through Zoom and through like Skype and FaceTime, and that's our new norm for a lot of people, whether they're working or going to school or stuff. So it's definitely felt us a little connection for us with like celebrities and stuff. So it was a nice concert with Elton John hosting. Mariah Carey was there, Billie Eilish, Dave Grohl, a lot of those other people were there. And it was just really nice. They all did like a song each. Some of them sent out like really nice messages. Like Lady Gaga sent a little message out to everybody, and just everybody was really just supporting and thanking essential workers and things like that. It was just really a nice way to like just take a break from all the regular news and just listen to some music and relax. And it was actually the night that iHeart was supposed to have their awards last night, and they actually like put this on instead, which was nice because they knew they couldn't do that, but let's try something else. So I thought that was like a really cool thing. And I know a lot of different celebrities and stuff are trying to do things online so like fans could be connected, because maybe their show got postponed, or maybe their movie got postponed, or maybe they just feel like a disconnect. I was on YouTube the other night. I don't know if you guys ever heard of the show Big Mouth. They were doing
Yep.
table reading of one of their old episodes, and it was a Zoom call. So you actually like got to watch the Zoom call, and it was like all these celebrities like Nick Kroll and John Mulaney and all these other people, and you just got to watch them read their characters online. And it's a very nice way that we can connect and feel like we're the same as these celebrities that we like kind of idolize. They're going through the same struggles we are with their mental health and their anxiety and stuff too, and they're just trying to make some happiness and donate their time and hopefully raise some money for some charities, because they were raising money as well. So it's just a nice thing that a lot of celebrities have been doing. So I don't know if you guys have been able to catch up on any of those kind of things or seen something like that.
Oh yeah, I listened to a podcast and watch a podcast. It's both audio and video, called Off Topic, and they actually had the second to most recent episode that I listened to was, they were saying that it was the social distancing. This was, when we were still in the social distancing phase. And they were like, this is the social distancing version of the podcast. So they were still on the same set, but they were just much farther away. They had a much bigger table. And in their most recent episode that I haven't fully listened to yet, but apparently they did a full hour and a half long podcast through Zoom. Same exact thing. So, they're still trying to produce content, and it's a very feel-good podcast. They literally just talk about what's going on in their lives, what's going on in the world, things they've been doing, make jokes, the whole thing. They're online entertainment people. So I think it's awesome that it's nice to see, I think, and it gives people probably some comfort, just like you said, that, it's not just us normal people going through, this whole quarantine thing. It's everybody.
And I think that's the thing that we forget a lot, that like we're not the only ones going through this. You can't just like fly to a different country and it's going to be different. It's the same thing is going on everywhere around the world. And if it hasn't hit them big yet, it might hit them big sooner or whatever. It's like you can't go anywhere. You can't hide from this. So just like kind of just stay home, do your part, and get some entertainment. I've been hearing from a lot of sources, like I watch like podcast, and I watch a vlog that's like kind of like a podcast as well that they put on Spotify and stuff, but they were saying that they're like, we've been actually like really liking talking on Zoom too, so like when we'll go back to the original show when we go back to normal, but like we're going to keep some parts of this and have still like a Zoom call maybe once a week, of like, because there's just a different vibe you get. And I think
exactly
it's going to be interesting to see when we come back out of this, like what kind of normal things get left for society. Like having these Zoom calls, more people might look into them more often and see like, hey, this looks like a cool thing to try something out on. Or I don't know, I feel like there'll be some positive that comes out of this, that people will try new things with these new aspects that we've learned about.
Yeah. I think
a lot of
that's
time
gonna be.
a lot of time change and kind of, I guess, progression can come through like struggle, and a lot of people are certainly struggling right now, but a lot of people are also learning about technology. As weird as that sounds, there's a lot of people out there who are just not exactly familiar with this kind of technology. I guess you could say I feel, I guess, lucky enough to have been an introvert for most of my life, and it's great because I'm getting to now kind of branch out and help people with the technology that I'm used to using. I run my own Discord server, and now I get to explain to people like, hey, this is how you use Discord, or this is how you use Zoom to stay connected with your friends.
I've been hearing a
and
lot of
people.
like feel good stories too about like, how they've shut down like nursing homes and stuff, so you can't like see, like you can't come in because they don't want outside visitors. You don't know where you've been. So they've been showing a lot of the older elderly people how to use like FaceTime and stuff. And it's been really nice that grandkids and kids have been able to connect with their grandparents or parents over those things. And it's nice because like I've been thinking about if this happened like 40 years ago, we'd probably be a lot bored.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that, and my husband and I were like the latchkey generation actors, and it's so funny to us to see how we react versus how our parents react versus how like younger generations react. The two of us were like, yep, that's it, locked down in our own home, we're gonna have what we need, you know. And being partial, like he's half Italian, I'm part Italian, we always have food in the house, so that's never a problem, you know what I mean? But it was funny to see the reaction, because the two of us were like, done, we are home. And we do this on a regular basis. Whenever the flu takes a hold of my household, nobody leaves, nobody comes in, and virus has no host to go to. We just always, like, I know what it looks like. I can already tell when we're, you know, coming down with it and it's not a cold. So we have masks to protect each other from each other. We clean like crazy, and then we don't leave the house. And so we're used to, from those good, you know, sanitary like behaviors and habits to do that. It's a little bit longer, I'm not gonna lie. It does get a little bit like, oh God, like I haven't driven my car in like 2 weeks, you know. But at the same time, it's what needs to happen. I mean, people are like, oh, how are you getting your groceries? And it's like, you have to be methodical, right? And like all of the things that are perishable, like your fruits, your veggies, your milk, you have to order. Like right now, there are places taking orders like 6 days from now. So you have to think, like, what am I going to need 6 days from now? So when that window opens, I can put it in, and then it comes to my house. The other thing we're doing is supporting our local community. And the restaurants are still open, and we don't want them to close. Unfortunately, yesterday I found out that all of the Chinese restaurants in the area have closed, potentially because a lot of their suppliers are in New York City, and they cannot have the supplies come in. But a lot of the other restaurants are open, and you don't want the mom and pop-up shop to close, because that's the places that we love to go to. So there's a number of things that are like grassroots campaign happening in our town, which is beautiful to see. Some of them include like ordering food like once or twice a week, each family. The restaurants have tailored their menus to create family style dinners. So now you just get like a whole family as opposed to individual, you know, plates. And then you can also play a lottery kind of, I guess you could call it like a lottery bingo, where like people in town put $1 towards like this drawing, and they can get, it's a number 1 to 25 or 1 to 30, and they can get a gift card to a particular restaurant in town for that value. So the person running is not making money out of it. It's just a way of supporting, and each day of the month is a different drawing. This is the same person I was showing you guys, has strapped like a pair of speakers on the back of his truck and a bunch of lights, and he takes the party to people's doorsteps. So yesterday was a little boy's birthday, and they were all sad because they couldn't have anyone, and the truck came to his house, right, like right on the street, and they played happy birthday for him right there. There was a wedding over the weekend. That was a mixed reaction, because it caused a lot of traffic in a road in my town that is never trafficked at all. But there was a couple that was getting married, and they did not hold a ceremony for family and friends, just the close people that they live with. And all of their people who they had invited decided to do a car parade, and they decorated their cars with balloons and little like signs, and they came in and they did a car parade, and people in their own houses were like, what's going on? And you had like 50 cars like sort of circling that area with signs and like, congrats, you know.
That's
and
awesome.
Got off the car, and they remain at a distance, just each car, I guess, each family from each other, just to like, to say, we're here for you. it drew a little bit of criticism because it's like, how is 6 people in a car social distancing? Right. Except that, you know, if there were 3 of us in the car, we live together. You know what I mean? So if
Yeah.
you know, I imagine that that's how people approach that. But
Yeah.
yeah, people are getting creative with stuff, and I think it's beautiful. The Girl Scouts in town are doing masks. We have a hospital in town. The hospital always gets a daily coffee run sponsored by a different family or a different business. They get food sent to them. So it's, I always say, you see the bad, but like look further and you will see more good happening. And I love that it's a grassroots thing and it's not someone telling you what to do. You know, it's not like, you know, the military shows up and does this, but it's regular day citizens who are putting the little grain of sand towards a good cause.
I think it's
Exactly.
definitely like I've definitely seen a lot more creativity in my town and also just in my communities that I'm in, like online and stuff. I'm a theater major and communication major for anybody that didn't know that that's watching this. So I do a lot of local theater and stuff. And someone added me to this group a few weeks back. And then that was like when all of this happened. So they came up with the idea on this Facebook group that we should be reading a play each week online together so that we could still stay creative and still be working on a project, because most of the shows that people are in right now got canceled, they're postponed and things like that. So we've been actually like reading a play on Zoom each week to like fill that creative void that we have. And it's like no one would have ever thought to do that like 2 months ago and been like, let's Skype like we would do that in person. And now it's just a way for people to meet. Like I've been meeting more people online because of it, just to like interact and talk about like creativity and stuff. And it's just like, it's definitely a nice thing that I've definitely been seeing more people be connected this way and still want to do something and not be like, I'm just going to sleep all day and eat. You know what I mean? There's so much more that you can be doing, and it's definitely using this time wisely. I've been doing the same thing as you, Annabella. Me and my mom ordered from 2 local places over this time already because we have so much food in the freezer. We ordered like from 2 places, and a lot of places are doing deals and stuff. So I would suggest really looking into like a lot of these places. Like I know we got like 20% off because we ordered and stuff, and it was just like we weren't pulled up to the curb and they just brought it to our car and things like that. And it was like super cool. And it's definitely, you don't want to see these local businesses and stuff go out of business. So whatever you could do, whether it's getting a gift card so you could spend later or just anything you could do. I don't know what you've been doing, Ryan, like with this time or anything, but
Well, you know, kind of going on the whole, you know, people getting together and doing things creatively. So I'm in a relationship, and a couple of my friends are in relationships, and my dad's in a relationship now as well. And you know, I found it really interesting how I was telling my friend about how one of the hardest parts for me in quarantine, and I know for a lot of people, is it's hard to see your significant other if you don't live with them, you know. And he told me about this thing called Netflix Party, and it's some like Chrome extension apparently, where you go on Netflix on Chrome. If you have the extension, you can click it, send a link to your friends, and if they have it, you can all watch the same show at like the same time. So what I've been doing is now I have like virtual date nights. And I told my dad about it, and he's like, "How'd you do that thing again?" And I showed him how to do it, and now he's doing it, you know?
that's
And I
so
think
awesome.
that's a cool thing that a lot of people are doing, is they're getting together with the people they care about in a different way online now. Like I said earlier, I have a Discord server, and my friends and I are now scheduling like movie nights on the server where somebody will stream a movie from their computer and we all just get in the server and watch a movie together.
So
And you
then the
know,
real question, Ryan, is what have you been watching?
oh,
So we know what
well,
to catch up on.
so you know, a lot of cool things. That's probably one of my favorite things about quarantine. As weird as that sounds, it gives people a chance to discover new stuff. I've been discovering a lot of new animated shows. I'm a huge fan of anime, so I finished watching a couple episodes of Baki on Netflix. I got to finish that season up. I'm all caught up with almost all the shows I'm watching. I'm finally getting to watch The Witcher, and I know a lot of shows are still coming out. People are still producing content in Netflix. I believe Ozark season 3 might be coming out soon for anybody interested. I heard I think whispers of Money Heist season 4, maybe. Don't take my word for it. And I've been playing a lot of video games when I'm done with all my homework, in case my dad's downstairs listening to this. But
Yes, homework always comes first, right?
exactly. No, homework does always come first. It's true. And that's another thing with school is it's kind of forcing me to learn a different way of learning, as weird as that sounds, because you do have to learn how to study and how to pick up on new skills. And I feel like this has given a lot of people the opportunity to do that. For people who don't know how to cook, this is a great time to learn how to cook. If you're used to going out, throw some eggs on the stove and see what happens. Last night my dad and I found some weird like beef tips or something that somebody bought us for like some kind of present, and we're like, we don't know how to cook these, we'll figure it out. And we spent about an hour and a half figuring out how to cook them, and it was delicious. So I think it's little simple things that a lot of people are overlooking that you can do to kind of improve your self-isolation experience, because it doesn't have to necessarily be isolation, especially not in the world that we live in today, where it's just flooded with technology. Like I said, for me, I've been lucky enough to, I consider myself a gamer, so most of my friends are online, and for us, this has just given us um, more time to help others kind of connect the way that we do. And I think that's just what I've been doing. Also, for you sports fans out there, um, not much may be happening in the traditional sports world, but I do have a little mini sports cast. The Overwatch League happened this weekend in the world of esports. We had I believe, like 10 games happen over the course of 2 days, and just back to back. And I'll admit, as a fan of Overwatch and as a fan of esports, they were all fantastic. So, for those of you who are sports people and nothing's going on in the sports world, nothing wrong with getting into picking up some esports. I know
Yeah.
sadly, my San Francisco Shock lost, my favorite team in the Overwatch League, on Sunday, but Annabella's shaking her head because
No,
last
it's
semester
like
I had a
it's
whole sports cast on the San
I love
Francisco
it.
Shock.
No, but I think
But
that that's great
yeah,
because people were like saying, "No, there's no more sports," and like, what are people going to focus on? And it's like there's so much more that you can do. I'm not a gamer, but I do enjoy seeing my kid enjoy her different games. She just got this weekend Animal Crossing for
yep,
the phone, right? And
Oh, I
she,
didn't know there was a difference between the two.
yeah.
yeah, it's a
There's one on the
pocket
phone and on the
camp or
Switch as
something.
well.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
she enjoyed that. So it's good. It's a good way to connect with people in a different way, in a way that is more playful and that you're not just on a camera, just playing with like little toys, you know?
Mhm.
So she was very happy. I was, I'm spending this time being kind of like a fourth grade teacher, trying to run some shows to the radio station and continue to give students a place to find their voices, to find creativity, to explore, to continue to get better in how they deliver the news, the entertainment, the sports. So that's been sort of my focus in this time, and I'm happy to provide that space. In terms of my downtime, is very very little. Uh, I actually am doing my master's, and the show must go on. The program was online, so nothing has changed. Insane amount of work. This is a master's, and so just to give you an idea, it took me 16 hours to do one assignment.
Oh my goodness.
And it's not because, like, it's just that it was not explained. There was a lot of side going on where like, okay, how do you get that? And there was like a little bit of a trick as to what kind of chart needed to happen. So I spent all this time making the chart. And then I realized that the chart didn't give me the data that I needed. So I needed to find a way to do that chart again. So I'm learning. So that's a plus.
Yeah.
I'm not getting the time to watch anything on Netflix. I think the most I watched this weekend was my daughter and husband were watching the Lion King live action movie. And I knew that, the stampede was coming. So I came in to sit down with them and hug my kid. through the process. Oddly enough, although it was sad, it wasn't as sad as the cartoon version for me, because the thing that kills me about that movie every time, like I saw it in the theaters when it came out, right, was when Simba lifts the, Mufasa's arm and gets under, and that doesn't happen in the live action film. He just lays next to dad, right, to Mufasa. And I was like, there was something about him lifting the arm for protection that just gets you. And because that didn't happen, I didn't have the same reaction. But that movie, man. So that was my little bit of entertainment for the weekend. That was it. I'm looking forward to the Masters being done soon so that I can actually catch up with all my favorite shows.
Now, Annabelle, I have a question for you. So, like, what's it been like for, like, I know you were talking about a little bit about the teaching, but have you learned anything new or thought this time has been helpful in a way, like coming to radio and stuff like that? I know it's hard because we're not in studio, and I know that's hard, but has you learned anything? Have you, like, I don't know, is there something that you liked out of this process or anything that you feel like?
Yeah, so I think that what we've done is become creative as to how we're going to broadcast. And like radio was always the most adaptable form of media. We have gone through the hoops for so long. And like when TV came in, it's like, oh, radio's dead. Well, listen, there was an article this past week that people stopped listening to streaming music and they started listening to radio, right? And like people were tuning in. I mean, we're always there for the community. I know that a lot of community radios are still finding the way. We are helping each other out. We hosted a meeting with 121 college stations 10 days ago. It was college radio, and we were trying to help each other out, come up with solutions that some people may have that may help others. And so, for example, the whole Discord thing, the radio station WMSC has been using Discord for over 2 years now. And I told Josh, let's create the virtual version of the radio station on Discord. Yeah. People can record their shows, something that they hadn't done. I don't see a lot of traffic there, but I've seen some shows use it. And the important thing is that it's there for whoever wants to use it. I had to move the Apprentice DJ program to Discord, and it's odd because I can't test students until that studio's open. So what I'm hoping to do is to continue to harvest their on-air skills, their ability to talk, because as much as you may know how to do the faders and put like the station in live assist, if you don't know what to say when that microphone opens, it's not going to be good, right? So we're focusing on those things a little bit more, and we're giving people the opportunity to brush up their skills before they actually find their prime on the radio station. Again, this is another way they can do things. They can do assume, jump in, record, and just see how you look. It's kind of like the equal of the rock star in the mirror, you know?
Yeah.
Do you think like keeping those focuses with the ADJ program, like, will be something you keep in the future? Like something like to focus more in on like talking and stuff on air and things like that, then that might have not been there before and things like that, more of a focus?
Yeah, so we were counting a lot on senior DJs to share their skills and their valuable lessons learned. But I do think that this mode of, of communicating with the ADJs kind of like puts them all together, get a unified message, because it also depends on who's your training DJ, right? Who's training you, right? Yeah. So you hear like, oh no, so-and-so told me. And whenever there's a mistake, the Papa DJ, as they call them, is to blame always. There's no like self like, oh, I made this mistake.
Brian, I hope you didn't lead anybody in a wrong way.
So this program sort of sends a unified message to everyone. Like one of the things I sent was one of my favorite routines by George Carlin about the 7 words that you cannot say on television, which is the same for TV. And it kind of drives the point home, because he's not just talking about those words, he's talking about other words that are like kind of iffy, right? And people don't understand what that is. People don't get why, like, there's certain topics that you cannot have at 8 o'clock in the morning when I'm driving my kid to school,
Exactly.
I don't want to explain that. What is that, mommy? No, thank you.
Ask your dad.
Yeah. So I think that that this has given us the opportunity to do that is something that I've been wanting to do for a while, but in focusing on lifting the station's profile along with everyone that we're, finding and, sort of finessing, was kind of left to the Papa DJs or Mama DJs. I don't know why we call it Papa DJ. There's Mama DJs out there too. But the whole point is we can unify that message, and hopefully that will resolve a lot of the little like disconnects here and there. It's a game of telephone, as I like to call it. It's like, oh, tell me so. I was like, no, that's not what that meant. And then like, look at this. We're doing this right now. It's recorded, but next week, if we're all good, we're going to take this to air straight from my home and Adam Goldberg's home. We're like syncing the two, and like, we're going to go on iHeartRadio, and we find ways to do things that we never thought we had to. Like,
and that just shows that like years ago you couldn't do that. Like going back to the whole point, like now we can do that, and that's like the coolest thing.
Right. So like we're adding music to next gen. I'm adding music through a drive. We had to buy specific software, and since the banquet got canceled, I was able to allocate those software, the funds to the software, so I could jump into next gen and have next gen pick those up and begin to chart those songs, so we can still service our friends in the music community.
Exactly. And I think it's, kind of like you said, I never knew that people were actually tuning into more radio than they were streaming music. And, really thinking about it, I think a lot of people kind of just want to have like that connection with somebody, even if you're just listening, as weird as it sounds. I was reading a book, Elvis Duran's book, on kind of his life, and he said that that's what got him into radio, is he turned it on and it almost sounded like somebody was talking to him and playing music for him. And I feel like, honestly, that's what we do at radio. We don't just provide content, we provide like a connection for people.
Right.
And we're going to continue to try and do that. I know I came up with an idea for a fun little mini podcast show just this morning, and we're still doing the morning buzz, as difficult and weird as it may be. I think we're, everything will be good. We're still going to keep producing content. What do you got here, Annabella?
So I'm showing you the article from BBC News about radio listening booms while music streaming stalls. This was the article that I was talking about, right? And I think people are more interested in hearing the news right now, right? See what's going on, what's happening, trying to find some sort of connection, inspiration, and radio has always been about providing that social connect. And I think that, podcasts are servicing that too. It's all about the audio. You can do it while you're working. You can do it while you're driving, while you're running, while you're cooking. It's your modest media friend, which actually makes me happy to be in radio. But yeah, so it's been different. It's been a different experience, but I think it's something that we need to think about in a positive way, about how the world maybe using this time to heal itself. Like, right, we were covering climate change and climate crisis all the way through, and there's less cars on the road and less people commuting, and maybe this is what the world needed to just really bring itself back and to not like take us into oblivion in a natural disaster. So you need to focus on the positive as much as you can.
Exactly. And kind of coming in to wrap up the show here, almost on a really positive note. Again, you don't have to just, if you can do your part in some way, even if that's staying at home, make sure you try and do your part. Annabella, you're talking about the Girl Scouts making masks, and I heard Ford was making respirators now, and it's all these awesome things. And this morning, again, I try every morning, even when I don't have the buzz, I try and look for good news, good little just tidbits to brighten up my day. And I kind of wanted to leave people with something like this. So apparently, two sophomores, this is according to the goodnewsnetwork.org, two sophomores from Montgomery Blair High School in Silver Spring, Maryland, have devised a way for Marylanders to get together and protect their grandparents and loved ones who have health conditions by delivering groceries and the supplies they need. So they're running their own little network of friends who are young and in high school, and they're all following the CDC's tips to wipe everything down, sanitize yourself, gloves, masks, and basically they get their grandparents to give them grocery lists and people who might be immunocompromised in their neighborhoods grocery lists, and they go out and they get groceries for them. And it's
I
just
love
little
that.
stuff like that that I think is awesome.
I love that. I mean, I just to make sure that they're helping others. It's inspirational, just to spread the cheer and try to keep people safe. I also love that some stores have provided the first hour of the day, like 6 a.m. to 7.
Yep. I believe Costco is
Years.
doing that too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Which
nice
is
that they're
fantastic.
like taking care of business that way. I wanted to sort of wrap up. I always like to finish like with that kind of story, as you guys know, because it's like, yeah, now we give you all the bad news, and now I'm going to go about.
No.
No, I think we definitely filled it with some good news too, which is definitely
Yeah,
good.
we did.
We all need that.
So
We need that. Brian, you're right. We need a little bit of positivity each day to like kind of just, especially during this time where it seems very negative and a lot of news can be negative and scary. We want to look at the positive. There is good happening in the community, like you said, with the stuff happening in the store. Like I've seen it happen. People are really trying to make the best of the situation, and like even if that is staying at home, definitely like try to look at the positive, work on something you haven't worked on, watch a new TV show or movie, maybe start a series that you've wanted to watch for years. Do some work that you've really wanted to try to do. You could still go outside and garden and do things like that and look at the bright side about a lot of things. So
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right. I'm going to play a video to take us off to air, right? But I wanted to say thank you to both of you. I know it's very easy to want to sleep in. I wanted to sleep in. Yeah, I mean, there are days when I'm like, oh, can I just sleep in? And
Fun fact, I pulled Annabelle on the show. I'm like, Annabelle, I want you to be here. So grab a
I
cup
was
of
like,
coffee.
I just want to be the person behind the board suggesting things. Here I am again.
Another fun fact, Ryan called me to make sure I was up and coming to this call.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah. So
I like to take care of my people.
To all the people that have supported this show, we want to thank you for always doing that and always letting us know that this means something. To all of the previous hosts that have hosted this show and continue to text me when they get their chance to go on air at their like professional place. We hope that we can bring you a little bit, a slice of MSU from the heart of MSU, which is its students, right? So we'll see you all back tomorrow for the Tuesday edition of the Morning Buzz, assuming everyone is up. This thing I'm going to play for you, everybody, is basically what happened here in my town yesterday for a couple that couldn't have a wedding. People kept their social distance, and they did a car parade to say, hey, we're here for you. A very quiet street.
Congratulations! Heavenly host, praise Father, Son, and Holy Ghost.
That's awesome.
I love that.
That was it. All right, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful day. Make the best of your day, and we'll see you.
Don't forget to find something good in every day, too.
Find a thing to keep you grounded.
Exactly.
Yes.
Stay
Agreed.
safe,
Right.
stay clean, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.